I'm Dorothy Coder Pollock. I was born in Mapleton Depot at the Clarendon Hotel, January the 19th, 1927, to Irvin B. and Bertha Miller Coder. And my mom and dad lived in a little apartment on the second floor of the hotel, above the bank. Well, actually, living up Scrub Gap, where the area where the swimming pool is now. And first really vivid thing I have, I was sent to school for my first day of school, and I got up there and I was too young to go. So I had to go home. They didn't have anybody to take you home, so I had to go home and tell my mother I was crying. So my mom took me back to school, and they explained to her. My birthday was in January, and there was something about that that wasn't, so I couldn't go to first grade.
Right. Yeah.
But then after I got into school, I really enjoyed going to that school up there on the hill.
Up on the hill.
And we had lots of pleasant memories playing with the kids in that area. I was a good group of people to play with and work with, live with in that area.
So as a student up there, what'd you wear to school?
Dresses
That's-
and long stockings and long underwear in the winter.
Now, you said you lived up near where the pool is now.
Yes,
That was different back then.
it sure was.
No
Yes.
pool?
No pool. Little stream ran down
Stream.
through there.
Okay.
We
Did-
used to play in that.
Did the tracks go up through there?
Yeah, they did. They went up to the old quarry up there, but the tracks were gone when we lived there. But the railroad bed was still there, and all that stony stuff was there. I don't know what
Okay.
they call that now, but it was
Oh,
very
the
hard.
ballast. The
Yeah,
ballast.
it was very, very hard to walk on.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
finally did get rid of that through the years, but it was just a dirt road. But at first it was that built-up railroad bed. We had the Clover Farm store, Weibel store, Gilbert's store, and that was a very interesting place, Gilbert's, because they had other merchandise also, like a general store, and Mrs. Gilbert had some other interesting items in there, and he had a meat market. They had a little, well, they had the barber shop, and Tilly Niece used to have a little tea shop where she would serve tea. Now, I was too little to go to that, but I remember seeing the ladies going in there all dressed up.
Different time.
And there was Parker's store also, where you could get ice cream and things like that.
Now, along that same line, as a teenager, we know we had the various stores in town, but what'd you do for fun? I mean, as a typical teenager back then, what'd you do?
Well, see, it was during the war, and we had dances and movies at the band hall, and we would jitterbug and have dances in there on probably the weekend. And I don't remember who had the movies there, but they'd have movies there, and we always enjoyed having that. And we always looked forward to the Memorial Day parade. Everybody got all psyched up for that, all dressed up, and very excited, and hoped to get a new flag to have. And we played ball and went over the river when we'd play over there. We weren't allowed to go into the river.
But
My
occasionally,
brothers
every once
did,
in a
but I
while, right?
didn't- But I didn't.
So it sounds like a lot of other people said the same thing. Growing up here with the stores and everything, most things you needed were right around here in
Yes.
the Mapleton area.
Everything we needed, you know,
Pretty
and
much
of
here.
course, everybody had a garden and canned their vegetables and fruits. And then on Saturday night, we would go like to the Granddairy drugstore in Huntington, and that was where you would buy your adhesive tape, your toothpaste, and all that antiseptic stuff,
Yeah.
because they didn't sell that in the grocery store. And that was a big treat. My mom would have a list, and we would go up there, and then we were allowed to go shopping afterwards, mostly window shopping, because we didn't have much money.
How'd you get up there?
My dad had a 1929 Ford.
Okay. What do you remember about it?
Oh, that was the neatest car. But then, when I got to be a teenager, and we would go, you know, he had that from 29 till 49,
Wow.
because for a long time in there, he could only pay the interest on it, and he couldn't drive it, but he wanted to keep the car. So then when he got a good job, and he still had the car, we'd go to Huntington. Well, I was a teenager then. Well, I was embarrassed to get out of this old car, so he would let me and my friends out at the courthouse, and we'd be allowed to walk uptown, and then he'd pick us up when we came back.
Did you ever take the bus?
Oh my, yes. Bus was big transportation. Then when I got a job at Fiberglass after I got married, went to California my senior year in high school, and my husband abruptly got shipped overseas, so I had to come back home, and I got a job at Fiberglass, and I rode the bus there. And we rode Rom Transit to high school one year. And we'd walk by then at 13, we moved out to Birdville at my grandmother's house. And one year in high school, we had to walk from Birdville to Mapleton to go to high school on the bus, because one that came from Calvin was full.
So every day, you'd always have to make that walk back and forth. Yeah.
But the buses were good transportation then.
Yeah. So you worked at Owens Corning back then?
Yes, sir.
And you got back and forth using a bus?
Yes.
Yeah. Couldn't do that nowadays.
No.
Yeah, wow.
But another interesting thing, when I came back from California, my husband got shipped out secretly. And my mom and dad had no telephone, if you believe that. So they did not know that I was coming home. I couldn't have no way to get in contact with them. So I came from Fort Meade, Maryland, on the train to Mount Union, got the bus into Mapleton, and carried my luggage out home in February, and with high-heeled shoes on, because I was in California. And my mom and dad was shocked to death, but the kids today could not believe that you didn't have a telephone.
You know,
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Dell that had the farm on the corner in Birdville,
Okay.
they had a phone, but I was out there, I didn't know their number.
and back then they were party line systems
Yes,
too. Right?
yes, sir.
How'd your parents cook back then? What kind of stove? Do you remember?
We had a beautiful gray and white cook stove,
Wood fired?
wood fire, oh yes,
Okay.
wood fire.
Yeah.
And when my mother baked bread, my dad had to get hickory wood, so we'd have a nice hot fire. And then in the summertime, we had a big oil stove, we called it. And we had it out in like a summer kitchen. And then my mother would cook on that, and it had an oven to it we could put on to bake her pies and cakes.
So the refrigerator was an ice box back then.
Yes.
Okay.
At first, we didn't have an ice box, but then we did get an ice box.
Okay.
And
What'd you do before an ice box? What did people do?
we would put it in the basement where it was cold,
Okay.
keep it down there.
Okay. Because I know in my parents' backyard they had what we called it the cave.
Yes.
It was a
some
little
people
building
did.
kind of built back in the side of the hill there, where it was always cool in
Yes.
there. And I guess that's what they used them for. Just
We-
you know.
In the basement, it would be cool, you know,
Yeah,
you keep
yeah.
it there, keep everything covered, and then we did, I don't remember when we got that ice box, but the ice truck used to come, And they had the big things of ice, and each but I would try to get the chips of ice.
Especially on a hot summer day, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
They're very dedicated people, very conscientious. The ladies went to the church on certain days and rolled bandages and made head pieces, you know, and done all this stuff on the tables at the church. It had to be fairly sanitary at the time, but they rolled these bandages. And I think we did that maybe on Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay.
And we had Red Cross training, Red Cross drills, and then the civil defense things. And you will tell where to go, what church, basement, or whatever, for whatever occasion. And the green window blinds were very important. Anything happened, you pulled your window blinds down so they couldn't see a lamp or a light.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
Mapleton was very conscious of the war effort. They done a lot of things. But, you know, you just waited for the letters to come. That, you know, that was it, because there was not much communication. You read it in the paper or the radio, and my dad was a big fan of listening to the radio.
Okay.
And for the news, and I forget, Walter Winkle, Walter somebody, Winchell, Walter Winchell.
That's yeah.
You
Yeah.
always listen
That's
to
right.
that news
I remember hearing that
broadcast.
name. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I liked
yeah.
Little Orphan Annie, and I watched that and sent for their products, and a little decoder or something, you had a little thing you spun around, and you got these messages, and
Yeah.
waited till the end of the week till the message. Well, then my brothers, I had two brothers, Fred and Glenn, and they wanted to watch the cowboy, or wanted to listen to the cowboy thing, Lone Ranger, and we kind of fought over that time thing. Oh yes, the radio was a big thing.
And they had commercials back then too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they were very short. They weren't long.
Nothing like today.
If you wanted to run to the kitchen to get something, you know, and come back, why, you didn't want to miss any of your story. You'd dash out there and maybe get a cracker or an apple or something back, and you'd listen to the radio again. And I remember the night they came home and said that they discovered the cave up at Warrior Ridge.
Lincoln Caverns. That was
Yes.
the yeah. That's yeah.
Oh, when they came home and said, we struck a cave, we struck a cave.
Wow.
Everybody was all tickled.
Okay. Now,
My
see,
dad
I
was-
remember being up there and reading that story about how it was building Route 22.
Mm-hmm.
You're the first person I've met that knew someone connected to it.
Well, my dad worked there,
Okay.
and he napped rock, is what he did. You know, they brought the big rocks in, and the men napped them. That's what they called it, down to sizes like that. So I said, that is a good road bed. That's not gonna go anywhere. My uncle lived with us for a while, and two of my aunts, after my grandmother died, they didn't have any place to go. So they had jobs. My uncle worked in the woods and cut timber, and my two aunts worked over at State College at the restaurant. But they had no home to go to, so they would come to our home sometimes on the weekends. And we might have 2 or 3 extra people, you know, but my mom always managed somehow, you know, to have enough
Yep.
food and everything to go around to everybody. That's just the way you did. You improvised and did whatever you could.